The wind howled over the frost-covered valley as Kharzan the Wolf sat atop his warhorse, scanning the enemy forces massed on the horizon. Banners snapped in the cold air, warriors shifting anxiously in their saddles, hands gripping reins and weapons with white-knuckled tension. Kharzan inhaled deeply, the scent of damp earth and steel filling his lungs. He knew what lay ahead: chaos, bloodshed, death. Yet, fear had no place here. Raising his saber high, he turned to his men, their expectant faces hardened by years of battle. "We ride as wolves," he growled, his voice cutting through the wind like a blade. The war horn sounded deep and resonant, and with a single command, he kicked his horse forward. Hooves thundered against frozen soil as the cavalry surged, a tide of steel and fury crashing toward the enemy's ranks. The first collision was like a storm breaking over a mountain. Kharzan's saber met the enemy's blade, sparks flashing as steel struck steel. His warhorse crashed into an opposing rider, sending the man sprawling to the frozen ground. Arrows sliced through the air, embedding themselves in flesh and armor alike. A soldier lunged at him from the side. Kharzan twisted in the saddle, parrying the blow before driving his saber deep into the attacker's chest. The battlefield was chaos, warriors locked in brutal combat, the sounds of agony and fury mixing into a deafening roar. Blood stained the snow, bodies falling like autumn leaves. But there was no time to think, no time to hesitate. He turned his mount sharply, seeking the next foe, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he fought to carve a path through the storm of death. Kharzan could see it. The enemy's right flank was wavering, their shield wall beginning to splinter beneath the relentless charge of his cavalry. This was the moment. Spurring his horse forward, he led the final push, his saber a whirlwind of death as he cut down soldier after soldier. The enemy's commander, a towering brute clad in blackened armor, roared as he charged toward him, wielding a massive war axe. Kharzan braced himself, their weapons colliding in a shower of sparks. The force of the impact jolted through his arm, but he held firm, twisting his blade and striking low. The warlord staggered, blood pouring from the deep gash in his side. With a final, brutal strike, Kharzan ended it. The enemy faltered, their lines crumbling as panic took hold. Victory was within his grasp, but war was never so simple. Just as Kharzan's forces began their final advance, the enemy reserves appeared, a fresh wave of warriors pouring onto the battlefield, their lances gleaming under the dying sun. The momentum shifted in an instant. Kharzan pulled hard on his reins, his horse rearing as he called out to his men. They formed up, battered but unbroken, preparing for the second onslaught. The enemy charged, their battle cries shaking the air, but the wolves did not yield. Kharzan met them head-on, his saber flashing, his horse weaving through the chaos with practiced grace. He parried, struck, dodged, every movement precise, every strike lethal. The tide of battle churned, victory hanging in the balance. But Kharzan knew one thing: he would not fall this day. He would fight until the last breath left his body, until the battlefield was his and his alone. As the last enemy fell, silence crept over the battlefield like a shroud. Kharzan sat motionless, his war horse snorting beneath him, the beast's flanks heaving from exertion. Around him, the fallen lay still, some breathing, most not. His warriors, bloodied and exhausted, began to gather, their eyes reflecting both triumph and sorrow. He dismounted, his boots sinking into the crimson-stained snow, and took a deep breath. This was victory. Hard-fought, bitter, but victory nonetheless. He turned to his men, raising his saber skyward. "For the fallen, for the wolves," he roared. The answering cry shook the heavens. They had won, but in the distance, beyond the horizon, another war loomed. Kharzan knew the fight was never truly over. As the warriors celebrated, a rider galloped into the camp, his face pale with fear. "My lord, treachery," he gasped. Kharzan's blood ran cold. He turned, scanning the ranks of his warriors. Someone among them had betrayed the wolves. The thought coiled like a serpent in his mind. Before he could speak, arrows rained down from the cliffs above. An ambush. Screams erupted, horses rearing in panic. Kharzan drew his saber, his eyes blazing with fury. He would not die here, not by the hands of cowards. He rallied his warriors, leading them into the darkness, prepared to cut down whoever had dared to turn against them. Smoke curled over the battlefield, the scent of burning wood and flesh thick in the air. Kharzan stood amidst the ruins, his blade dripping crimson. The betrayer had been found, a once loyal commander who had sold him out for gold. He knelt before Kharzan now, fear flashing in his eyes. "You were one of us," Kharzan murmured, voice laced with disappointment. With a swift, merciless strike, he ended the traitor's life. The wolves had suffered, but they had survived. As dawn broke over the blood-stained field, Kharzan mounted his horse, looking toward the distant horizon. He would ride again. He would hunt again. The wolf's legend was far from over. If you love legendary battles, epic heroes, and the thrill of war, don't miss out. Subscribe now for more gripping stories of warriors and conquest. Share this video with fellow history and battle enthusiasts. And let us know in the comments, what legendary warrior should we feature next? The battle never ends, and neither do the stories. Join the fight today